Marriage doesn't always fall apart with shouting, slammed doors, or dramatic confessions. Sometimes, it fades in silence. In this powerful and deeply emotional story, a husband feels his wife slipping away, but there's no proof, no confrontation, no scandal. Just instinct, distance, and the quiet fear of losing the woman he still loves. But when he begins to unravel, an unexpected ally steps in, her stepmother. A woman with her own past, her own secrets, and wisdom that could either save him, or prepare him for heartbreak. This is not a story about catching someone in the act. It's about strength without evidence, love without certainty, and surviving the kind of pain no one sees. If you believe real strength is silent, this story is for you. Subscribe and step into a world of mature, emotionally layered storytelling where nothing is simple, and everything has consequences. I used to believe that love didn't vanish all at once. It faded like paint on an old house, peeling at the edges before the walls showed through. That was how I began losing my wife, quietly, almost politely. I won't say my name. It doesn't matter. I am just a man who once thought his marriage was unbreakable. She was brilliant, magnetic, the kind of woman who entered a room and changed its temperature. When we met, I thought I had won something rare. She laughed loudly, loved fiercely, and promised me a life that would never feel ordinary. For years, we built that promise together. We traveled, hosted dinners, made plans for children we said we weren't ready for yet. We were partners in everything, or so I believed. The shift didn't come with shouting or slammed doors. It came with silence. She began staying out later. Business dinners, client meetings. You know how it is, she'd say, kissing my cheek without looking at me. Her perfume would linger longer than her presence. Sometimes she'd shower immediately after coming home, scrubbing away the scent of the outside world. I never caught her, not once, but I felt her slipping away. It's strange how intuition works. There were no lipstick stains, no mysterious messages flashing across her screen. She was too careful for that. Too smart. What I noticed instead was how she stopped asking about my day. How her laughter felt rehearsed. How her body lay beside mine at night, warm but distant, like a stranger who had borrowed her skin. I asked her once, gently, "Are you happy?" She smiled in a way that didn't reach her eyes. Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? I wanted to believe her. I tried, but happiness doesn't come with empty eyes. Her stepmother was the first person who saw what was happening to me. Elaine had married my wife's father when she was already an adult. They were never particularly close, but they respected each other. Elaine was sharp, observant, and disarmingly calm. She visited often after her husband passed, claiming she hated eating alone. One evening, after my wife had cancelled dinner yet again, Elaine lingered at the table while I cleared the plates. "You look tired," she said softly. "I'm fine." "You're not," she replied. I didn't answer. Pride is a stubborn thing in men. We'd rather drown than admit we're sinking. But that night, as we sat in the dim kitchen light, I felt something crack inside me. I told her I didn't understand what was happening. I told her I felt invisible in my own home. I told her I was scared to ask questions because I feared the answers. Elaine listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said something that unsettled me. "Sometimes," she murmured, "people chase excitement when they feel ordinary. It doesn't always mean they want to leave. It means they don't know who they are anymore." I stared at her. "Are you saying she's..." "I'm saying," she cut in gently, "don't destroy yourself trying to solve what she hasn't confessed." That was the first night I didn't feel alone in my own house. I still loved my wife. Desperately. But for the first time, someone acknowledged that I was slowly disappearing too. And that frightened me more than losing her. Marriage is strange. You can sleep beside someone every night and still not know where they wander when their eyes close. The months after that conversation with Elaine grew heavier. My wife became more affectionate at random times, almost theatrically so. She would cook my favorite meals, initiate intimacy with surprising urgency, hold my face and whisper that she loved me. And yet, something in her felt restless. It wasn't guilt. Guilt trembles. She did not tremble. She was alive in a way I hadn't seen before, charged, electric. There were nights she returned home glowing, as though she had tasted something intoxicating. I mistook it for career success at first. But success doesn't leave faint scratches on your lower back. Success doesn't teach you new tricks in the dark. I never confronted her. Why? Because I was afraid of becoming the fool who imagined things. I was afraid of hearing confirmation. And perhaps, deep down, I feared that if she truly was exploring beyond our marriage, she might discover she preferred it. Elaine, however, seemed to understand more than she said. One afternoon, she invited me for coffee at her house. It was modest, filled with books and quiet elegance. She poured wine instead of coffee. "You look thinner," she observed. "I'm fine," I repeated, though my voice lacked conviction. "You love her," she said plainly. "Yes, and you're afraid she doesn't love you the same way." The directness stunned me. I asked her how she knew. She sighed. "Because I was once the woman searching for something outside my marriage." I blinked. She held my gaze. "Your wife isn't the first woman to confuse attention with fulfillment." Her honesty unsettled me, but it also grounded me. "I don't want to lose her," I admitted. "You may not," she said. "But you cannot compete with fantasy. If she's chasing adventure, you will always lose to the thrill of secrecy." I swallowed hard. "Then what do I do?" "You stay strong. You don't beg. You don't accuse without proof. And you don't let her recklessness define your worth." That night, I lay beside my wife and studied her sleeping face. I wondered what secrets she carried. I wondered if she thought of someone else when she closed her eyes. But I didn't touch her. I was beginning to understand that love sometimes meant surviving silence. There is a particular torture in suspicion without evidence. It gnaws at you slowly. I started noticing patterns, Thursday evenings especially. She claimed networking events, charity galas, strategy meetings. Always Thursday, always dressed impeccably, always returning just past midnight. Once, I considered following her. I even sat in my car after she left, engine running. But I turned it off. I didn't want to see something I couldn't unsee. Instead, I began working later myself. I joined a gym. I reconnected with old friends. Not out of revenge, but survival. Elaine encouraged it. "You cannot orbit her," she said. "Build your own gravity." She had a way of speaking that felt almost maternal, yet never patronizing. One evening, she came over unexpectedly. My wife was out, of course. Elaine brought dinner and insisted we eat. "You're bracing for impact," she observed. "I feel like I'm waiting for something terrible." "Maybe it's not terrible," she said carefully. "Maybe it's just human." I laughed bitterly. "That's supposed to comfort me." "No," she replied. "It's supposed to remind you that desire doesn't always equal departure." Her words lingered. That night, when my wife returned home, she kissed me with hunger. It startled me. It felt less like romance and more like compensation. I kissed her back, not because I believed everything was fine, but because I still wanted her. And in the darkness, I realized something painful. I was competing with ghosts I couldn't see. The confession never came. No tearful apology. No dramatic revelation. Instead, something quieter happened. She began coming home earlier. The Thursday nights grew shorter. The restlessness faded into something reflective. She watched me more closely, as though measuring whether I had changed. Perhaps I had. I stopped asking subtle questions. I stopped searching her face for clues. I stopped shrinking. One evening, she sat beside me on the couch and asked, "Are you happy?" The irony almost made me laugh. "I'm learning to be," I replied. She studied me carefully. "You seem different." I realized I can't force someone to choose me, I said calmly. "They either do, or they don't." A flicker passed across her face, something between fear and respect. That night, she held me differently. Not urgently, not theatrically, tenderly. I didn't ask where she had been all those months. I didn't ask who had made her feel alive. I didn't want the details of her adventures. What mattered was this: she was still here. And I had not broken. Elaine visited less frequently after that. When she did, she smiled at me knowingly. "You found your footing," she said. "I stopped chasing," I corrected. She nodded. "That's strength." People assume strength looks like confrontation, like shouting, like ultimatums. Sometimes, strength looks like restraint. My wife never admitted anything. She never needed to. I understood enough without confirmation. She had wandered emotionally, perhaps physically. She had tasted something outside our marriage. But she returned, not because she was caught, not because she had no options, but because she chose to. And I chose to. I chose not to become bitter. I chose not to become suspicious. I chose to remain a man with dignity. Elaine once told me, marriage survives not because of perfection, but because of decisions. I think she was right. Today, when my wife looks at me, I see something steadier. Less reckless. More aware. And when I look at myself, I no longer see the man fading in the kitchen light. I see a man who endured uncertainty without losing himself. That is my quiet victory. I never caught her. She never confessed. But I survived the space between those truths. And sometimes, survival is enough. Not every betrayal ends with exposure. Not every truth needs a confession. Sometimes the greatest battles are fought in silence, inside a man who refuses to lose himself while the woman he loves searches for something beyond him. He was never the hero who confronted. He was never the man who caught her. He was simply the man who endured. If this story moved you, if it made you reflect on love, pride, silence, or strength, then you already understand what this channel is about. Here, we tell stories for mature minds. Stories about desire, loyalty, temptation, and the fragile lines between them. Subscribe for more powerful, unapologetic narratives that don't hold back. Because some truths are too deep for surface-level storytelling. And you deserve stories that dare to go there.